Conversations today in 16-year-old Anahit Grigorian's home are more likely to revolve around her math homework than this. Anahit is the child of refugees from the Sumgait massacres living on the outskirts of Yerevan. Her family was forced to flee Azerbaijan almost 25 years ago.
The
murders were very brutal, carried out in a very brutal way, in a very systematic way.
Emil Sanamyan is himself a refugee from Baku. He's also the editor of the Armenian Reporter and someone who continues to study and make sense of what happened in Azerbaijan.
Pretty much all of the Armenians living in Sumgait at the time were natives of Karabakh and had moved from Karabakh to Sumgait in last 2 decades. So it sent a more direct message also to people in Karabakh because their relatives, their acquaintances would become.
The pictures and movies from the time show thousands were forced to flee Sumgait, an industrial town of high-rises. Official statistics have the death toll around 30. Azerbaijanis in Sumgait rioted through the city for 3 days in February of 1988 and murdered Armenians. The horror was not because of the number of victims, but because of the extreme violence. And the fact that it was condoned by the government was carried out under the eyes of the government. It set off an exodus, which, as our report shows, sent Armenians from Azerbaijan all over the world. In the village of Balahovit, just northeast of Yerevan, we're told there are about 100 families living here, most from Sumgait. And when you speak a little bit with the people who live here, it's fairly obvious that this conflict is far from over. But there are other angles to this story as well. For example, if you walk down the street to the school, you'll find that the students who are there will never see where their parents came from. Edgar Avedissian is another son of Sumgait refugees. He's living a fairly normal 15-year-old life, and he's completely uninterested in visiting the city that his parents fled. Some Sumgait refugees and their families now live in Russia. Others return to Karabakh, and then there are those like Anahit and Edgar, whose families live on the outskirts of Yerevan. Without looking for it, we actually found a young, insightful perspective. Greg Bilazarian, CivilNet.